What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to the channel, your home for everything black and gold. If you love the Pittsburgh Steelers as much as we do, then you're in the right place. This team is working non-stop to get better, sharper, and more competitive heading into the 2025 season. Front office, players, coaching, everyone's locked in. But that doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing. Now, before we dive into today's wild story, do me a solid. Hit that like button. It helps more fans like you join the conversation. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the biggest Steelers news, rumors, and analysis. Let's get into it, and I promise this one's going to get the comment section fired up. Steelers Nation, buckle up. There's a trade idea going around that's got the entire NFL world talking, and it involves two names no one ever thought would be mentioned in the same sentence: T.J. Watt and Brock Purdy. Yep. According to ESPN's Chris Canty, the Steelers should consider trading Watt to the 49ers in exchange for quarterback Brock Purdy. Let that sink in for a second. T.J. Watt, the heartbeat of this defense, potentially being moved to solve the team's quarterback issues. Sounds crazy? Maybe. But here's how we got to this point. Earlier this week, Watt posted a photo on Instagram. Just him flashing a peace sign. No caption, just two fingers in the air. That peace sign? Yeah. Fans saw it as a goodbye. And let's be real. Cryptic posts from star players don't happen by accident. Is Watt hinting at something? A contract issue? A desire for a change? Or was it just a moment? No one knows for sure. But it stirred the pot. Meanwhile, the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh is anything but settled. Justin Fields, gone. Russell Wilson, gone. Both off to New York. And the Steelers are still in drawn-out negotiations with Aaron Rodgers. Yes, Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer, but he's also 41, injury-prone, and expensive. Is that really the long-term solution? Right now, the only QBs under contract are Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. No offense to either guy, but they aren't exactly striking fear into opposing defenses. That's where Brock Purdy comes in. At 25 years old, Purdy is young, battle-tested, and, let's be honest, already more accomplished than a lot of the guys making $50 million a year. He's taken the 49ers to 2 NFC championship games and even a Super Bowl. That's no joke. But here's the catch. His future in San Francisco isn't 100% secure. After a 6-11 season and a lingering injury history, there's talk the 49ers may not want to hand Purdy a $50 million a year deal just yet. Some execs think he benefits too much from his teammates. Others say he's the real deal. Chris Canty thinks the Steelers should use this uncertainty to strike. He said, "Use T.J. Watt to pry Brock Purdy from San Francisco. The 49ers need defense. They've got the 11th pick. They could still draft a QB. I don't know how they say no to that." Whew. That's bold. But is it crazy? Let's talk about T.J. Watt. He's entering the final year of his contract, set to make over $30 million in 2025. And while that's a hefty number, it's still arguably a bargain for a guy with over 100 sacks and a Defensive Player of the Year title. If the Steelers don't get a deal done, other teams will be lining up to throw the bag at him. Trading him now would be painful, no doubt, but it might be the only way to bring in a high-caliber QB without giving up multiple first-round picks. Still, Watt in a Niners uniform? That's tough to picture. Imagine him lined up with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and with Robert Saleh back as defensive coordinator. That defense would be a nightmare for offenses. Oh, and speaking of tough decisions, the Steelers are also facing questions about George Pickens. After trading for DK Metcalf, the wide receiver room is shifting. ESPN even floated a mock trade sending Pickens to the Cardinals in exchange for moving up 5 draft slots, a 4th rounder, and wideout Michael Wilson. Now, Pickens has all the tools to be elite, but he's struggled with consistency. One week he's making ridiculous catches, the next week he's invisible. His focus and attitude have been in question, but trading him now? That's a big risk, especially when pairing him with Metcalf. Could give Pittsburgh one of the top WR duos in the league. If they do move Pickens, it better be for a true difference maker. Anything less is a mistake. So here we are, Steelers Nation. A ton of questions, not a lot of answers. And the biggest one is this. Would you trade TJ Watt for Brock Purdy? Would you rather lock in a long-term QB and risk weakening the defense? Or keep Watt? Ride it out with Rodgers, Rudolph, or whoever falls to us in the draft? And what about George Pickens? Are you giving up on him too early? Or is it time for a fresh start? This is the kind of offseason that defines a franchise. And trust me, Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have some major decisions to make. But now, it's your turn. So, the 2025 NFL Draft is right around the corner, and the Steelers have been keeping fans and analysts guessing with their pre-draft visits. Now here's the weird part. Pittsburgh has hosted a surprising number of Day 2 caliber players, even though they don't even have a second-round pick. Meanwhile, they haven't spoken with many projected first-rounders, despite sitting at pick 21. That's raised eyebrows. Are they planning to trade back if their ideal target doesn't fall to them? Are they eyeing certain sleepers? Well, there's one name that stands out from the list of top 30 visits. Shamar Stewart, a highly talented and extremely versatile defensive lineman from Texas A&M. Let's talk about Stewart for a second. This guy is what scouts love to call a tweener, a hybrid defender who can play both edge and interior defensive line. He's got an explosive first step, strong hands, and the kind of athletic upside you can't coach. Some evaluators believe he could become a disruptive force in the NFL from multiple spots along the line. And even though the Steelers haven't hosted many first-round level talents, Stewart's visit stands out because he might be the only player so far that they have a true first-round grade on. But here's where things get interesting, and a little risky. Now, if you're thinking, wait, haven't we been here before? You're not wrong. Back in 2022, the Steelers took a chance on DeMarvin Leal, a similar hybrid-type player who could line up inside or outside. And while Leal showed flashes as a rookie, his second year stalled out. Injuries and inconsistency plagued his 2023, and his 2024 comeback bid ended quickly due to another major injury. Now, Leal is looking like a depth piece at best, not the high-impact chess piece Pittsburgh hoped for. So the question is, are the Steelers really ready to go down that road again? According to Pittsburgh Post-Gazette insider Ray Fittipaldo, the answer is yes. He explained in a recent Q&A, chess pieces or positionless players are all the rage now in the NFL, and the Steelers aren't shying away from them in the pre-draft process. Stewart can play DL or edge. I'm sure he'd be compared to Leal, but they're not the same player. Stewart has much bigger upside. So yeah, they're still in the market for hybrid defenders, and they believe Stewart may have what Leal hasn't quite shown, true starting caliber production. All right, let's talk red flags. Because even though Stewart has the physical tools, he also has just 4.5 total sacks across his college career. That's not a number you expect to see from a first-round pass rusher. That lack of production could push Stewart down draft boards, and that's where Pittsburgh might strike. See, some mock drafts have Stewart going in the early teens, but others suggest that his low sack totals could scare teams into letting him fall to the 20s or even later. And for a team like the Steelers, that could be the perfect buy low, high upside opportunity. But does that kind of projection remind anyone else of Leal? Tons of traits, not much tape, lots of could be, but no has been. Here's the thing. The Steelers love versatility. That's why they drafted Leal in the first place. That's why they've targeted guys like Nick Emenwari, another athletic positionless defender they recently brought in for a top 30 visit. Pittsburgh doesn't seem scared of taking on raw but versatile players. And if they believe their development pipeline can get more out of Stewart than it did from Leal, then yes, they will absolutely pull the trigger at 21. Also, consider this. Through almost two-thirds of their top 30 visits, Shamar Stewart might be the only one they've met with who fits that true first-round profile. If they can't trade back and no elite WR or OL falls to them, Stewart might be the guy. Drafting Stewart could mean the end of the road for DeMarvin Leal in Pittsburgh. At best, he becomes a rotational backup behind Stewart. At worst, he could be a cut candidate before the season even starts. The Steelers have never been afraid to move on if a player isn't progressing, and bringing in a more explosive, higher upside version of Leal might be the front office's way of hitting the reset button on that experiment. But it all comes down to how much risk the Steelers are willing to take at 21. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you make the Watt-Purdy trade? Do you keep Pickens or shop him? We'll be reading every single comment, and you already know we might feature your take in a future video. If you enjoyed this update, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next Steelers scoop. Thanks for riding with us. Until next time, here we go, Steelers.